welcome back to Brashonomics. You know, sometimes it'd be fun to do sports radio because, man, would they have a lot to talk about today. Here we are. We're relating the referees to the world of business and real estate. And Anton Stetner joins us for the first time from the Real Estate Solutions Group, which he founded in 2004. And actually in 2010, they sold 118 homes with a team approach with real specialization. Welcome. How are you?
Doing good.
Did you catch the game, or did you see the whole thing?
I was just a highlights guy on this one.
Yeah, well, it was quite entertaining to see some of these guys go out there and really just, well, it's entertaining to watch football. It was kind of a joke to watch these referees. Being in the industry you're in, being in real estate, I mean, you kind of know what you specialize in, and you can take this team approach, which has more specialization within the deals and whatnot. You know, isn't there something to be said about doing what you're good at and maybe letting other people do what they're good at?
No, absolutely. Like in real estate, what happens is most of us try to be the jack of all trades, and then we become the master of none. Realistically, you're going to better serve your clients if you were only to pick 2 or 3 things that you're going to be phenomenal at. So with our team specifically, we've got people that specialize in bank-owned properties, for instance, and then that specialize in new construction, specialize in short sales, etc.
Yeah, so then you really are able to essentially take different people and they end up knowing everything there is to know about short sales or bank-owned properties, and not necessarily like the Lingerie Football League and thinking you know all about the NFL, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What advantage do you think that really gives you? I mean, you know, we interview a lot of real estate agents, and a lot of people cover a lot of ground. They you know, a lot of people go where the business is. There's something like 19,000 real estate agents in the Northwest. How does this help you guys, and how does it really help your clients by taking this specialty approach?
Well, the specialty approach, I mean, last year it allowed us to sell over 200 homes. And so we were able to basically provide just a higher level of service to those clients inside those areas. So for instance, I mean, let's just say, heaven forbid, you get cancer, right? Well, are you going to go see your general doctor? Or are you going to go see someone that specializes in cancer? Well, if I've got like liver cancer, I'm going to go to the best liver cancer doctor out there. And the same thing really applies here, is we want to give them the highest, best level of service possible, because real estate, ultimately, at the end of the day, somebody has a need that needs to be fulfilled, and they just want to get it done with little hassle in a very specific time frame.
Yeah, I mean, and so that really is and that's why you have to be a specialist. I mean, right? Because, you know, going back to your cancer piece, you want to cure cancer as fast as possible or try to get rid of it. You don't want somebody fumbling through it for the first time going, oh, yeah, this is interesting. I think I read something about that in my textbook.
Yeah, exactly. And you're basically, I believe the clients and the whole industry is shifting towards that. The single agent, if you look at those 19,000 agents, or just all the agents in the state of Washington, the average agent last year sold like 2.75 homes. That means they don't know anything.
Well, and that's the average. So you guys had 200. So for your 200, that means there's 198 who didn't sell any or something like that.
Yeah, correct. And so it just gives you that higher level of service. So, I mean, literally, in the stats speak for themselves. You can see it when you are able to get your clients a higher list of sales price ratio. You're able to get them lower days on market, or conversely, on the buyer side, a better deal.
So really tangible items.
Absolutely. Quantifiable, yeah. I guess you can't really touch them, but yes. You can touch the house, but we might get a referee call on that one.
Flag. We're here with Anton Stetner, CEO of Real Estate Solutions Group. So let's talk a little bit about the market. You guys obviously have a pretty good beat on it, knowing that you have your whole team in different pieces of the industry. What's your current take on the market?
You know, our market is really changing right now. And so literally I ran the numbers right before we came. We were looking at about half of our market here in the King County area was distressed. Okay, so that means it was a bank-owned property or a short sale. Then the rest was traditional and new construction. So that new construction has been picking up, and because of the lack of foreclosures, the distressed market right now has dropped to approximately 20.4% for last month. Okay, so when you look at the overall trend, it's decreased from half down to about 20% since just literally the beginning of the year. And the reason for that is we're the government got involved, and so we had the robo-signing and the big settlement with the attorney generals. And that settlement, basically, they just said, hey, we're getting involved. We want you to review your foreclosure practices. So instead of reviewing them, most of them just slowed them all down. And once the settlement happened, now you're seeing a big push for the beginning of that. Okay, and what I mean by that is you're seeing a push for the loan mod, the short sale. You're seeing some principal forgiveness happen right now. For instance, we know that Bank of America had sent out over 200,000 letters for that. And you're seeing more of the pre-foreclosure steps happen versus pushing it all the way to REO.
And a lot of that, from what we've heard, is because it's actually more profitable for the banks to stop foreclosing. It took a little bit of time for them to realize it, but a lot of it isn't just goodness of their heart type stuff.
No, economics is going to boil down to simply pure numbers here, where I
just don't want to give big banks too much credit.
I think ultimately, the numbers vary. They say that they may save between 17 to 26% by getting it before it goes to foreclosure, which over thousands of loans, tens of thousands, you're talking big numbers.
So so you have the slowed foreclosures, and you have people who are still looking to buy. I mean, there's not even enough houses out there, whether they're foreclosure, short sales, or whatnot, are there?
No. I mean, right now, it's really amazing. We are down to 2.4 months worth of supply. To put that into perspective, anything that's below that 6 months worth of supply is what we start to consider a seller's market, 5 being, neutral coming into the seller. As we get to where we're at today, 2.4 months, we're in a hardcore seller's market. This is 2005 all over again, without the easy financing.
Yeah, and of course that does change things without the easy financing because, people actually have a hard line of what they can spend on a house. The interesting thing, though, is in the city of Seattle, we have such a prominent job market.
Absolutely.
So many people coming in. It's kind of hard to see that starting to go, the real estate market slowing down because people need places to live. And with Amazon hiring and
with Amazon, Microsoft, you got Boeing. I do feel, though, that right now we're in a bit of an artificial seller's market just from strict government intervention. So there's a few examples of this. We had the first-time home buyer tax credit. Okay, and what that said was it said for 2 years you can't sell your house. Okay, so traditionally, if we sell someone a house, about 4% of that population will resell within the first year, 8% within the second year. So we have 12% of that should have naturally entered the market that's going to be entering in 2013. So that's coming, the first-time homebuyer tax credit. The other thing that's happened here in Washington is you've seen notice of trustee sales double since the robo-signing settlement. So in other words, they're like, okay, we know how much money we owe. We know how much we're going to do in short sales, so let's just start these foreclosure processes on these back properties. So I think we're going to have a pickup in inventory. I don't think there's going to be that tsunami they always had talked about, but definitely the market will cool off a bit from where we're at probably come springtime.
And that's there was this thought there's just going to be literally a tsunami of hundreds of thousands of houses.
And all the houses are going to go to zero, and it's going to be worth nothing.
Right. It just doesn't appear that's what's going down, does it?
No, and if you were a bank, would you let all of your inventory go at once and kill your bottom line, or would you just let the thing slowly trickle out? Ultimately, if you're a business, you got to just feed it out slow because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
Sure. No, it makes a lot of sense. So what does that look like then for inventory? Short term, mid term, long term, and what do you think is going to happen?
Well, short term, I believe we're going to be in a seller's market probably very hardcore until the winter. Coming beginning of next year is when all of this rise of notice of trustee sales will actually be starting to hit the market as foreclosures. So if it's doubled, let's just say the percentage is, about 20% right now, it may go back up to 30 or 40%. Okay, which is still going to increase the inventory, but the demand is so high right now. They're doing quantitative easing 3, so it's kind of a crapshoot a little bit. Yes, there's going to be increased supply. The demand will still be there. I don't think we're going to go back into a hardcore buyer's market like we were before.
You know, you bring up QE3, and, you know, coming from the mortgage business, we actually just did this big video on QE3 and how there's actually this huge tug of war, because now you also have guarantee fees going up. So the lenders are starting to charge more money.
Yes.
So, you know, when you talk about people coming on and buying houses, the issue right now that I see is that you have quantitative easing. Basically, the Fed is printing money, putting it into mortgages.
Yep.
Then you have the mortgage giants, Fannie and Freddie, who have decided to shave a few more bucks off the top by raising their guarantee fees.
Yes.
And then those trickle down through the big banks, like we talked about a second ago, and they don't have to give any certain interest rate.
Yeah.
And so you have all this money that's supposed to be coming down to help people buy houses, but the rates aren't where they should be. And the other thing is that low rates don't really seem to be the caveat right now for making people buy houses.
And I don't think they ever really will be. See, the low rates just keep the market moving. The whole idea is keep it from stalling. Yeah. Okay, let's print money. Let's devalue the currency. We'll flood a little bit more. But I agree with you. Corporate America, they're just saying, well, since it's going by, we'll take this little piece.
Let's just shave a little bit right off the top.
They must have been talking to those same refs. So we'll just take a little piece over here.
And of course, nobody throws a flag on those guys. Yeah. What else do you kind of see going on in the market? I mean, if it being a seller's market, I mean, there are a lot of buyers out there. We've talked to people who have 20 offers on a house. Yeah. I mean, these were ridiculous numbers.
Yeah. We actually, for us personally, the highest we've gotten so far was 27. Let me give you a little perspective here. 12 months ago, I had 138 properties on the market. Today, I have 40. And so my personal inventory for my team, even as my business is growing, because this year we'll close, a little over like 240. Even as our business is growing, our inventory has been shrinking. So that inventory is shrinking is slowly getting some of those people off the fence, creating a little more demand. What it's not doing, though, is there's so much uncertainty because the economy isn't good yet. Consumer confidence is still low. Plus, we're in an election year. And so it doesn't matter if you're on one side or the other. You're just plain not happy because you're uncertain. So that creates...
Or you're a Packers fan. That's the other reason you're unhappy right now.
Or you're a Packers fan. Yeah. And so that creates like this demand that's just waiting to see what happens. Hey, who gets into office? Hey, what's going to happen next year?
Yeah. We're here with Anton Stetner, CEO with the Real Estate Solutions Group. We do have a couple more minutes before we have to go to break. When people get, it's I guess this paralysis is maybe what people feel. And we've even heard the term, buyer burnout, where people, they don't want to compete with 26 other people on a house. Do you tend to see that? Do you see people maybe just going, you know what, I'm just going to stay put. I don't need to get into this mess.
Yeah. When you're talking about things that are below the median price, so let's just say we're talking about a $250,000 house in Seattle, for instance. That's below the median price for most of Seattle. And so in that case, yes, that buyer's going to run into frustration, especially if they're maybe almost a zero down buyer. They're like an FHA, and they've got to ask for closing costs. Now, the conventional buyer that's coming in, and the cash buyer, we've seen cash buyers, they only used to make up about 12%. Cash buyers are making up about 20 to 24% of the market right now because they know they can come in and squash the competition. So I really agree with you. You're seeing huge buyer frustration and agent frustration too, lender frustration, escrow, everyone involved in this industry, because they get involved in something and then it doesn't work. It doesn't work again. And sometimes it's condition of the property. Sometimes it's their lendability. Sometimes there's just too many dang offers.
Mm-hmm. And so what advice do you have? And we do have to go to break, but I do want to get, you come from an area with a lot of experience. What advice do you have for a buyer? I mean, right now, who's maybe going through this time, and what do you tell them?
Well, I mean, ultimately you have to say, what are your long-term goals? Okay, and are you committed to it? Next question is are you going to get cheaper interest rates in the future? And the answer is probably...
I would have said that a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. But
today they hit all-time lows again, in case anybody was wondering, and we'll get to that. But, here we are, lowest ever again.
And so I think you're just going to have to be prepared to increase your earnest money, decrease your contingencies, possibly do a pre-inspection in order to get the property. you're going to have to work with some people that are just downright aggressive. Mm-hmm. Okay. You're going to have to do some quick hunting. You need to know about the properties before anyone else. So if it's been on the market for 24 hours and it matches your criteria, it's time to get in the car.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you really have to be committed to the process.
Absolutely.
I think you said, you get to that long-term goal. Well, if it's not that important to you, then right now might not be the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, what are your long-term goals for you? And for a lot of our clients, one of their specific goals right now is there's a lot of, areas of King County, Snohomish County, where you're going to be able to own a home for less than what they rent. And so I think that's a lot of people's long-term goals. They see it as a financial benefit versus before. I mean, for the last probably around 10, 15 years in the local area, renting was cheaper. Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a big point. I mean, it's cheaper to buy now than rent.
Yeah.
We do have to go to break. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. Really great to have you on the show again. Anton Stetner, CEO with Real Estate Solutions Group. When we come back, we're going to chat a little bit with Jeff McCoy. Guess what's happening? The weather might be turning a little bit. What's going on in your house? How are you going to stay warm later this year? We'll be right back.